Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to MAPS-MCOC story time. I hope you're having a fabulous Friday and are looking forward to the weekend. And I am your storyteller for today. My name is Farheen Fathima and I volunteer for MAPS-MCOC. And I am going to be reading this book. It's called The Ant and the Elephant, written and illustrated by Bill Beat. So let's get started. The Ant and the Elephant, written and illustrated by Bill Beat, and it's a Houghton Mifflin Company publication. Do check out their website for more books. One morning, let me just get this a bit closer. One morning, a tiny ant crawled up a tall blade of jungle grass for a view of the river. All at once, he was caught by a breeze that sent him sailing off into the swirling water. Just when it seemed he would be swept downstream and gone forever, the ant grabbed onto a snag and scrambled to safety. There the ant remained stranded, wondering what he would do, when he spied a mud turtle creeping along the river bank. So here we have like the teeny tiny ant, and this is the turtle. "Oh, Mr. Hardshell," called the ant in his wee small voice, "would you be so kind as to give me a lift back to dry land? It's a nice day for a swim." The old turtle turned his head slowly. After a long look at the ant, he said, "I have had my swim for today. And besides, if I went racing about helping everyone who was in trouble, I would have no time left to relax." Then the turtle tottered on his way to find a place where he could sun himself. When the turtle came to a flat, warm rock, he crept slowly up the edge. Suddenly he went toppling backward and landed upside down. "Blast it all," he muttered. "Dad blame it." And he began crashing out with his legs, desperately trying to right himself. But all the kicking could do was to send him rocking about on his shell. That was all. So he's trying to get back on his feet here. As he stretched his stringy neck looking about for help, the turtle spied a hornbill roosting on her nest on a tree limb. "Oh, Mrs. Big Bill," he called, "would you mind helping me back to my feet? With one flip of your beak, I'm sure you could do it." "I could," snapped the bird, "but I won't. This will teach you not to be so clumsy." As she leaned down to say more, the hornbill tipped the nest, and her one big egg rolled out to go tumbling all the way to the ground. Luckily, it had landed in a clump of fluff, tough reeds without so much as a crack. "Thank goodness," she cried when she found the egg all in one piece. Then, seizing it in her beak, she fluttered her wings as she tried to take off. But her oversized beak plus the cumbersome egg were too much of a load. She kept on furiously crashing the air until her wings were worn to a frazzle. As the miserable bird sat there staring helplessly at the egg, a giraffe came striding along. "Oh, Mr. Greatneck," she called, "you've come just at the perfect time. If I perched on your head with the egg in my beak, you could carry us back up to my nest." "Indeed, no," scoffed the proud giraffe. "If I did such a thing, how silly I would look. I'll have no one laughing at me. No, indeed. And Mr. Greatneck went on his way with his head held high, nibbling at the treetops. Now this is the Proud Giraffe. He was so intent upon the tasty leaves, he didn't notice the dangle vine until it was twisted up around one leg. Here now, snorted the giraffe with an angry kick. How dare you? The kick merely gave the vine an extra twist, which tightened its grip. Then in a fury, the giraffe began kicking wildly about with all four legs. The more he kicked, the more entangled he became. Finally, his legs were so tightly tied up in the vine he couldn't budge. As he stood there in the tangle, he spied a lion heading his way. What good luck, thought the giraffe. With those great claws of his, he could rip this vine to shreds in one swipe. Oh, Mr. Big Paw, he called to the lion, just look at me. The lion took one look, then burst into a great roaring laugh. Ho, 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 that is funny. Ho, ho, I see what you mean. Ho, ho, ho. And laughing merrily, he went on his way through the jungle. The lion was still laughing to himself as he flopped down in a patch of shade for a bit of a catnap. He flopped down with such a thump it upset a huge boulder which was all set to topple. To the lion's surprise, it rolled over and came down right upon his tail. With a furious roar, he leaped to his feet, tugging frantically to free himself. But he soon found it was useless to struggle. He could never get loose unless he was willing to part with his tail. As he sat there, growling over his bad luck, a rhino came along. Oh, Mr. Hornyhead, he called, would you mind bumping this boulder off my tail? One nudge of your great snout would do it. I would, said the rhino, if you could think of some way to return the favor. Right now, said the lion, all I can think of is my poor tail. Too bad, said the rhino, and he went lumbering off through the trees. The rhino never bothered to watch where he was going. With the great horn out front, he went blowing straight ahead through the brambles and bush, when all of a sudden, zoom, he blundered head-on into a stump with his great horn stuck deep into it. Out of my way, stump, he snorted, and with a furious lunge, he tried to knock over the stump. This drove the horn still deeper. Then, with a mighty tug, he tried pulling himself free, but the stump refused to let go. At last, the rhino realized he was hopelessly stuck. So the rhino, the lion, the giraffe, the hornbill, the turtle, and the ant were left in deep trouble. That would have been that if a jolly big somebody decided to take a stroll through the jungle that day. It was a huge elephant. With such great spreading ears, he could hear the slightest sound, the faint rustle of a leaf, the least snap of a twig, or even the tiny voice of an ant calling for help. He reached his long trunk out over the river, inviting the ant to climb aboard, then carried him safely back to dry land. How can I ever thank you enough? Cried the grateful ant. It was no big thing, said the elephant. But it was a big thing for me, said the ant. It was everything. And he scurried away through the grass. If you've got time to bother with the nothing of an ant, grumbled the old turtle, how about me? You are in a pickle, said the elephant, and with the tip of his trunk he flipped the turtle back onto his feet. Then without a word of thanks, the old codger went tottering away down the bank to disappear in the river. If you can help an ugly old turtle, squawked the hornbill, the least you can do is put my lovely egg back in the nest. The very least I can do, agreed the elephant, and holding the egg gently in his trunk, he carried it up to the nest. It's a wonder you didn't crack it, snapped the bird as she settled down on the egg. The hornbill looks very grumpy, don't you think? Say now, chuckled the elephant when he came upon the giraffe. That's what I call a funny fix. Not funny to me, snorted the giraffe. Not one bit funny. Then I'll try not to laugh, said the big fellow, searching through the vine with his trunk to get at the worst of the tangle, right here. It took a few minutes to undo the dozens of knots that gripped the lone legs. Once they were loose, the vine fell limply to the ground. Well, I must say it's about time, snorted the snooty giraffe as he went gallopity clomping away. What have we here? Asked the elephant when he came to the lion. We have a big bumbling boulder, growled the lion. That's what. Then be off, boulder. And the huge tusker heaved the boulder into the air with his trunk and sent it tumbling. Once he was free, the lion gave his tail a few switches to make sure it was working. What a relief, sighed the lion. Some day, when I'm in a better mood, I must remember to thank you. No hurry, said the elephant. He continued on his way through the jungle, where he soon found the hopelessly struck rhino. Let's see what the elephant does to the rhino. I can pull you free, said the elephant, if your tail can stand one mighty tug. Right now it's my snout I'm worried about, groaned the rhino. So jerk away. Gripping the rhino's tail tightly in his trunk, the elephant reared back, and with one almighty jerk, the rhino went sailing free of the stump to land with one big lump. That was one whale of a jerk, muttered the rhino. I hope you got some fun out of it. It was a pleasure, smiled the elephant, excuse me, as he went merrily on his way. He was enormously pleased with himself after all the good deeds he had done that day. Everyone has his troubles, he chuckled. Everyone but big me. I'll never get into a fix where I need help. That's one thing for sure. The elephant didn't suspect there was a deep ravine just ahead. It was too well hidden by scattered flat ferns. Before he knew it, he had tumbled straight into it, landing with a 7-ton thud that shook the whole jungle. He was wet so deep and in such a position that his trunk and legs were useless. It serves me right, he muttered, for feeling so almighty big and all-powerful. Now I'm the one who needs help. Help, he bellowed. Help, help. Then he waited anxiously for a reply. He waited for hours, staring up at the sky until it faded into evening and a deep stillness settled over the jungle. It was so quiet, his great spreading ears caught the sound of footsteps. tiny footsteps from somewhere above. "Who's there?" asked the elephant. "It's me," said the wee small voice, "the ant you rescued this morning, and all my ant friends. 95,000 of them." "I know ants are amazingly strong," said the elephant, "but surely you don't expect to lift me out of here." "We can try," said the ant. "Come on, my friends, let's get to work." Suddenly, down the steep wall of the ravine came a teeming horde of ants swarming under the elephant. Can you see the ants, these teeny tiny dots? Then all together they began chanting, "Heave ho, heave ho, up you go, up you go." And to the elephant's amazement, he found himself moving upward, slowly but surely. Just an inch at a time, the tireless ants hoisted their huge burden up the wall. "Heave ho, up you go. Don't lose your grip. Don't anyone trip." And at last, under a bright full moon, they set the elephant down in the scatter-flat ferns. "That was tremendous," cried the elephants. "I can't believe it." "Nothing for you," said the elephant, "but a mighty big thing for me." "It was nothing," replied the 95,000 ants. "Now, if you'll climb aboard, I'll give you a ride back to your ant hill." "I am not a bit tired," said one ant, "but I would like a ride. I have never ridden on an elephant." "Neither have I," cried all the others, and they swarmed up the elephant's leg onto his back. Can you see here? All of the ants are on the elephant's back. Then away they went, rumpety bumpety clumpety hump, the mighty big and the mighty small, off through the jungle together. I hope you like this book, The Ant and the Elephant, and I am also going to be showing you a little craft that you could do. Today we will be learning, or I'll be rather showing you how to make the mighty ant from the book, something like this. So let's get started. To make our little ant, I am going to use a piece of scrap paper. It could be any scrap paper, construction paper, any colored paper, doesn't have to be black. And I have a little popsicle stick, a piece of tape, some glue, scissors, and a pair of googly eyes. Something like this. There. So to start with, I am going to, this is a scrap piece of paper, cut my piece of paper into 3 strips, a small strip, a medium-sized strip, and finally a big strip. So I have 3 strips here, as you can see, a small strip, a medium-sized strip, and a big strip of paper. I'm going to roll each strip like this and glue this part to make 3 rolls. So let's get that. I'm going to glue my small strip of paper first. I'm going to hold on for some time for the glue to stick to my piece of paper. There you go. So this is my small roll. Now I'm going to glue together my medium-sized strip There you go. And now I have a medium-sized roll. And finally, I'm going to glue together this large strip, and I have a large roll. There you go. So now I have a small roll, a medium-sized roll, and also a large roll. With the remaining strip of paper, the last strip of paper that I had, I think I'll probably cut it into a slightly smaller size. So the strip that I have, I'm going to keep my rolls, the large roll, the small roll, and the medium roll, and I'm going to cut it to fit the 3 rolls. So about an inch. There you go. And now I'm going to paste the 3 rolls onto this little strip. Let's glue this piece of this little strip, and I'll start with the biggest roll and glue that onto my strip, and then I put the smallest in the middle, and finally the the medium strip in the front. There you go. And I'm going to press it and hold it on for some time to make sure the glue sticks. So now I have the body of my ant ready. So with the scrap that I have, this little piece, I'm going to cut it into 2 small strips like this, and I'm going to use these little strips to make the antenna for my ant. So I'm going to paste some glue onto the roll and press it tightly to make sure that the antenna for my ant sticks to its head. There. So now we have the antenna for our ant. Oops. Let's glue. And I'm going to give it a little fold in the front to give my antenna a little bit of a twist. So there you go. This is how our ant's body with the antenna is gonna look like. And then finally, I'm going to add the legs. So ants have 6 legs, so I'm going to cut out 6 strips of paper, like really thin strips of paper. So I'm going to cut out 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and finally 6. It doesn't have to be a perfectly straight strip. Do your best, and at this point, if you need an adult to help you with it, you could ask an adult to cut out the strips for you. So the next step would be to strip my legs, to glue my legs to the back of my ant. So I'm going to put some glue on the tip of one of the strips and attach it so it's glued underneath on the strip. So I will do this for 3 strips on one side. Some glue, put it on the last strip that I had, another strip, and I finished adding 3 legs to one side Now I'm going to add the other 3 legs to the other side. I'll do the same thing. I'm going to glue on the edges of the strips like so, and I'm going to attach them underneath and hold it and press it tightly, making sure the glue sticks to all of the 3 strips on either side. The next thing I'm going to do is fold it and then fold another little edge to make a leg like so. So I'm going to fold it in half and then fold the edge outward to make a leg. So fold it inward in half and then fold the edge outward. So this is how your legs would look like. I would do the same thing on to the other side as well. Fold it inward and then fold the edge outward. Fold it inward at the middle and fold it outward at the edge. Inward in the middle and fold it outward at the edge. There you go. My ant is almost ready. So finally, I'm going to, oops, I think my antenna came off. So let's attach that back. And I'm going to attach these googly eyes to the face of my ant, to the ant's head. So right below where I attached the antenna of the ant, I'm going to stick my googly eyes. I'm going to hold it for some time to make sure that the glue sticks to the googly eyes. There. And finally, I will use the popsicle stick that I have and attach it to the base so that I have a little ant puppet that I can use. So cut a little strip of tape and attach the popsicle stick to the base of my ant, like so. There you go. There you go. Your ant, mighty ant puppet is almost ready. Just a little bit of glue for the eyes. Attach it to the head. And there you have it. Your little ant puppet. I hope you liked the story, The Ant and the Elephant, and I hope you do try out making your very own little ant puppet, and do let us know and do share with us if you do make an ant puppet. And please do follow MAPS-MCOC on Facebook to make sure you enjoy more of our story times. We'll see you next time, inshallah. Have a good weekend. Assalamu alaikum.